name is Firefighter Logan Smith, the Lower Heights Fire Department. Me and my partner Carla are going to be doing a drill going over a 2-line low angle rope rescue scenario. So first I'm going to talk about, this is our main line. But we have this whole system here. It's called the RPM. This is the most basic version of our lowering and raising system. This really teaches you the basics and shows you each different part of our mechanical advantage. So this is a 13 different pieces of equipment. So, sorry, there's a tree in the way. So we have our anchor here, a carabiner going to our collection plate. So this, you see how this has 4 openings? We leave this one not used by a carabiner in case we need to change a direction off of this way, just based off of whatever your haul field is. So this first piece of equipment on here, this is your brake bar rack. This is your main purpose of creating resistance and being able to control the descent of your rescuer and whoever you're sending down the hill. Right here I have it in the lock position. So my rescuer is not going to go anywhere, and if I have a patient on that line, they're not going to go anywhere either. So untying this, I'll go over a little bit on how to use the brake bar rack. So you see these 4 bars. We want to have at least 4 bars minimum. If we're having 2 people on our line, ideally you'd want to go to 5. These bars create more friction and hence make more resistance to slow our patient down or our rescuer down the hill. So how you would actuate this, pull a little tension on there. So as you can see, you're going to grab your left hand. Obviously this is a right-handed way of doing it. Left hand is going to go under here. Be careful, your fingers always have gloves on when you have any kind of rope or equipment under tension. So you're going to have your left hand come underneath and kind of just cradle this whole brake bar rack. And then I'm going to be controlling the rope in my right hand. The farther forward I go, that's your stop. And this way is your go. So if you start pulling, then he's going to start going down. And the higher angle you have, the easier he's going to go down. Since he's flat, it's going to take a little bit to pull him. So I can maneuver these bars farther away to create less friction to make him go down faster, or I can push it closer and push my rope farther to stop him or slow his descent. And say my rescuer is down to the patient, however far they need to go, I need to lock this in place so that they're not going to go farther down the hill. So we have this little bar here that's going to stop our rope from coming off. So first you're going to loop it over here. Some people call this a boat cleat or 2 half hitches. So I'm going to tie my rope, make a little loop here, go around here, tighten it, and then do the same thing around that top bar. So you can see it almost looks like a figure 8 on the top here. So 2 half hitches, or some people call it a boat cleat. Now this system is locked off, and no matter how far or how hard he pulls it, this rope is not going to go anywhere.
Now, touching up on the safety, the added safety precautions that Firefighter Smith was talking about, gloves, usually we wear gloves to protect ourselves. BSI, scene safety, obviously, we want to protect ourselves. When it comes to rope rescue, gloves are to protect your rescuers and who you're rescuing. The main reason we wear gloves, especially when we're actually having a load on our rope, is obviously rope burn. Like, if you lose control of the system at all, at any point, and that runs through your hands, it's gonna burn, you're gonna let go. Naturally, that's what you do. The second you let go, if they're 50 feet down the hill, every foot that you let go or every foot that you lose, it's gonna feel like 5 to 10 feet for him. He's gonna drop, whoever the rescue is gonna drop hard, and it's gonna attach, like it's gonna pull on their harness and hurt them in every single place that they're attached to. So gloves, always whenever you're touching any rope with load on it. If you're setting up, yes, you can use it without gloves, but you wanna get practice having gloves on. So just in case something happens, an emergency does happen, you wanna be able to just grab on at a moment's notice.
All right, so now that we have this locked off, I'll talk about the next part of our RPM system. This next carabiner, you see we have a green prusik and we have a pulley. We're not going to use this right now. We're going to use it later when we go to a raising system. So I'm going to move on to the next part. So here, this blue strap is called the mariner's device, or a load release device. So this is going to allow us, once we switch over, to let out a little bit of tension, but still have the patient locked in case something is stuck and we're having trouble. Attached to here, you have another pulley, and then you have a red prusik. So this is what I'm going to use next to capture my rope and take this from a lowering operation to a raising. So I'll go through that right now.
Now, when Firefighter Smith is talking about changing it from a lowering operation to a raising, obviously they have full tension. Like, you imagine him down the hill attaching somebody to his system, ready to raise them. You can't just undo the rope and then just kind of hold on for dear life, because then you're carrying 2 patients with just your load. So what he's doing is he's keeping it completely locked on, attaching this new system to the rope, and then once that's secure and locked on, then he can switch over and release the actual brake bar. So he'll show you how to do that.
So how we're capturing this rope, we're going to use one of our pressiks. We're going to do a 3-wrap prusik hitch. So easiest way to do this, take the part where the 2 ropes are conjoined, and you're going to go over the rope. You're going to go 3 times, hence the name 3-wrap prusik. Once, twice, 3 times, and then you're going to pull this up, and I'll make this nice and even so then you can see the finished product. And one thing when you're pulling this, I like to angle it, so because you don't want your carabiners pulling on the part where the prusik is bound, because that's the weakest point of this prusik. So you want that not at the contact point of your carabiner. So when you know you've tied it right, when you look at the back and you have 3 loops that are even, they're not crossing, they're a nice even spiral on each side, 3 and 3. And then this part going over the top, which is known as the bridge. So you always want to make your knots look nice and neat, because they're going to work out the best and be the strongest that way. So here, I'm going to take this pulley off, and I'm going to use this carabiner attached to our mariners and grab onto this prusik. And make sure you always are locking your carabiners before you put any kind of tension. Go all the way tight and then back a half turn. When you go to take this all apart, if they're all the way tight, they're gonna bound up and it's gonna give you a hard time. So and before I put tension on this, a way to loosen these prusiks, because right now it's biting onto the rope. When you put pressure against it, you can move that prusik all the way as far as you can. You want to push this as far down so that this has tension now. And this prusik is grabbing the rope, putting the weight of my rescuer on this mariners and off of the brake bar rack.
Now, as you can see, he released tension off of the brake bar rack. So instead of, like I said earlier, instead of completely letting go and then just hoping that you can hold on, this completely lessens that risk. Because all it did was attach this, and it's still secure to this. So if for whatever reason this fails right now, this is going to catch whatever happens. But now that he's stretched it out, locked it in place, you can see the tension on it. Look how loose this is. There's nothing on this. Now, if you know what you're doing, if you're doing this right, you can trust lives with this, just this. So at this point, you're ready to actually switch it over.
You want to release that?
Yeah.
Brake bar? So now that there's no tension on here, Carlo can untie the brake bar rack, because this prusik here is locked onto our rope, and our rescuer is not going anywhere. So now the brake bar rack, when we're raising, is not going to have any use in our system, so we're going to completely disconnect it. So now, what I want to do here is attach a pulley to our main anchor. So I'm going to use a second carabiner here.
These are bigger, they're bigger carabiners. Yeah, but we want to leave that open in case we have to do a change of direction. A lot of times when we're doing rescue here, we have open space. In normal times when we're doing a rope rescue over the hill or something, you won't have all this open space where you can have a haul field. Let's say you have it this way, you're going to need to haul the opposite direction. If you start pulling this way without a change of direction, you're just not really doing any form of mechanical advantage. And you'll see that when we create the 3-to-1. What people do to also mitigate that, so you have more, is they'll attach a second carabiner to a second anchor, and then they'll add another bear claw to it. So then you'll have 5 open holes after that, and you can just keep attaching whatever you need to.
So I'm going to put the loose end of my main line or a pulley here. I'm going to attach this. Always locking those carabiners. Here's what I excuse me, I made a mistake on here. This one is going to always go onto your mariners, not your collection plate.
You can edit that out. Oh, I don't edit. I'm just kidding.
So now we have our pulley, and this is just a 1-to-1 mechanical advantage. And then Carlo can go over how to increase your mechanical advantage so you're not pulling the entire weight of your rescuer and your patient.
So once you're ready for here, like I said before, we have all this haul line. I'm just gonna start pulling it. Yeah, a little bit. That's good enough. All right. And then he taught you how to do a 3-wrap prusik. That's essentially what we're gonna do. So the progress capture that he captured here, we're gonna do the same at the very end of the line, or as far as we can actually go. Because like I said earlier, these cases, our rescue is gonna be 50 feet down the hill, and you wanna basically stretch out as much as you can to create a haul field. Here, I'm gonna create a short one. We have about maybe 5 feet of haul. So it's not gonna be too crazy, it's not gonna be too long, but it's gonna definitely help with our mechanical advantage. So coming from here, someone's still gonna be tending this. So Smith will still be here tending to make sure everything's locked, make sure everything's safe. There is always one person that's designated to be safety. In this case, every firefighter is safety. You wanna check your partners, you wanna check yourself, you wanna make sure everything's going well. Rope rescue is a slow process. Everyone thinks, like in TV shows, everyone jumps out of the building, everyone does something really quick, saves somebody in 2 minutes. It's never like that. Rope rescue is a long process. It takes a while, and if you're able to do it fast, more power to you, but the slower you go, the safer. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Okay. So when you bring the end of the rope over here, the first thing you want to do is you want to attach the prusik. Okay, same thing as Firefighter Smith taught you. Take one end and you just wrap over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then you pull on one end and then you just dress it up, make it all nice and neat. Mine's not as pretty as his. There we go. Twist on one end. There we go. With a single swivel pulley, you can leave this on the carabiner and still attach the rope. With the pulley he has over there, you have to attach the rope first before you attach it to the carabiner. So once this is on, I'm gonna go ahead and lock it because I know I'm gonna be using it. So I wanna be safe, lock it all the way, quarter turn back. Okay. With these single pulleys, single swivel pulleys, they're great because they can be locked on and you can attach the rope to it. There you go, and it's locked, just like that.
One thing about this mechanical advantage we make, this is a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage. Another name for it is a Z-rig. And the reason why, if you follow that rope, it looks like it makes a big Z. When you're making this 3-to-1, it's easier if you have it on the ground or right in front of you. If you make that big Z, you know your lines are not overlapping and you're making that nice, clean 3-to-1 mechanical advantage. So now that we have our 3-to-1 or a Z-rig in place, we're ready to raise our patient here. So, and we're just pulling.
Give some resistance, try to pull.
Lean back.
Lean back, yeah, lean into it. And then you'll see we're not really putting that much force in. This essentially makes whatever load you're carrying 3 times lighter, hence the 3-to-1. For example, if Firefighter Garcia weighs, let's say 200 pounds, when we're pulling him, that is Fine, perfect. He weighs 210. When we're pulling him, that essentially feels like 70 pounds to us. One person can pull 70 pounds. One person can pull realistically up to 100 pounds. Two of us pulling, it's 35 pounds each. It's nothing. It feels like nothing. As you saw, he just moved easily no matter how much resistance he has. So that's our 3-to-1 system. Makes hauling easier. There's more that you can attach to create 5-to-1, a compound system 9-to-1. Gets a lot more complicated, gets a lot easier to pull. But if you're limited on rope, 3-to-1 is exactly what you need, because what that means is for every 3 feet of rope that you're pulling, they're moving 1 foot. So we pull 1, 2, 3 feet of rope, he's only moved 1 foot forward. So if you have 300 feet of rope, you can realistically, at best, only pull them 100 feet. So if you're limited on rope, limited on tools you have, easy 3-to-1 will give you that mechanical advantage you need to pull somebody up over a low angle rope rescue hill.
Does anyone have any questions on our main line?
Yeah, quick question. So once you created your 3-to-1 and your prusik, marries up, I guess at the end of, or at the beginning of the rope, how do you reset?
So resetting is a good point you brought up. Say you don't have a super long haul field and you've gone as far as you can. Say we can't go past this tree and we're stopped, and our patient and our rescuer are still 100 feet down the hill. So all you have to do is grab the rope on the back end of this prusik, and how I showed earlier how you're gonna
pull it this way first so you can see.
Yeah, give me some. All right. There you go. So then to reset this, you're just gonna grab this.
Show them if it's all the way over here. If it's like, if they're super close.
Get more line.
Yeah, just the green. There we go.
So say this is already out and you still have to pull them farther. You're just gonna grab this and kind of use the back end of your hand and pull it. Once you pull some tension off of it, then it's gonna be loose and you can just walk it all the way as far as you possibly can.
Got it.
And now you have all this haul field here that you've regained. To keep
You just keep resetting it like a ratchet almost.
Got it.
And this prusik is always gonna lock on, and it's gonna be your progress capture.
Copy that.
So if he's 20 feet down that hill, you can walk this all the way to the edge of the hill, pull it all the way up to here, and then you can reset it.
Got it.
So it may take a couple of sets.
Understood. Okay, thank you. And then as far as the chances are, if it isn't over the side, it's going to be one of us going down with our over the side bag.
Depends on what the incident is, but yes.
Or we
Okay.
could be hooking up our Stokes basket to this
Okay.
and have a couple guys holding
Cool.
that. Depending on the angle of it, say if we have 3 or 4 guys on our Stokes basket, we're not going to be holding their entire body weight. So that, where we could still have just one line, or that would determine what kind of mechanical advantage we need. If we find that we're having a hard time pulling, if we have 4 rescuers and 1 victim in the Stokes basket, that's going to be quite a bit of weight, depending on how high your angle is. Then we could add another pulley here and make that either into a double pulley and kind of do 1 more of these Z's, and that would create a 5-to-1 mechanical advantage. Pretty much the more pulleys you have and the more angles is going to create more mechanical advantage, but you're going to have to pull that much more for every foot that the person comes up.
So 5-to-1 essentially means you're pulling 5 feet of rope in order to get them forward 1 foot.
Copy that.
So that's always something you have to keep in mind with what your supplies are and how long your rope is for whatever your situation is.